Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah.
A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to HGN. Now, what I'm going to talk about here is, well, something another person would probably want to do. Someone who's an expert in survival-based capabilities would probably know something or two about water distillers. Now, distillers themselves, they happen to create safe, effective drinking water that really shines upon when it comes to the expertise based on survival skills. Now, me in general, there actually will be a series that I will create based on survival out there in the wilderness or beyond. And what I've got going on at this point is that, well, for one, distillers themselves, the way they usually work is that, well, some people out there who happen to have some good survival skills in which they'd have to resort to creating primitive based technology and tools. Of course, how you could build a distiller at this point, if you were having to resort to primitive based skills and the like, would include a small container and a larger container and a small, like, plastic bag or something that you can, well, seal above the top of the container and then drill up a small hole in the center. Of course, when you happen to use the larger container to scoop out salt water, or basically water that's not going to be good for you, but in order to get fresh water out of it, of course, that's where the smaller container would come in handy. It's placed in the center of the larger container, specifically so that when the salt water ends up evaporating, it'll dry up to the top of the bag that's pretty much draped over it, and it'll eventually drip down into the smaller container, and then you'll have yourself some fresh, clean, safe drinking water at your disposal. Or consumption, really. I much rather consume it than dispose of it, because it would at least be a great way to stay hydrated, rather than having to resort to salt water that happens to inhabit more than 75% of all this planet. I mean, of course, saltwater distillers out there, more industrial ones, they do exist, but they can be rather expensive to operate. Not just really in the type of fuels that they usually run, but saltwater distillers that happen to be more the industrial type, in the same way that other industrial-based, well, machines out there, including forges, grills, and hundreds of other different tools and objects that we happen to use that are more the industrial type, they do happen to have a lot of potential, but at the same time, they require a lot of tending to and a lot of care and a lot of, well, maintenance and monitoring, just so they don't end up having all kinds of problems going around hand in hand. But in terms of how simple water distillers work, I'd say that's good enough. They're easy for one person to handle at a time, and more importantly, if you'd all have a group, you got a potential of creating a much larger one, with the same process that I just explained. And many people out there have already known about this kind of saltwater distiller out there, the more simple type, but simple or industrial, it probably doesn't really seem to matter much. Because whatever happens in the ways that we happen to run out of clean drinking water, regardless of what sources they happen to come from, of course, there are in fact better ways of getting yourself fresh, clean, safe drinking water at all costs. But let's save that for another episode, because I have yet to bring out what I'm talking about. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel. If it's anything at all, really. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.